We hear a lot about bullying in schools and the things authorities are doing to minimise it, but more hidden is the extent of bullying in the workplace. Last year, more than 12,000 workplace bullying complaints were made, and since we reported on a particularly nasty case in Victoria 2 weeks ago, 7:30 has been swamped with similar tales. Sadly though, there've hardly been any prosecutions as authorities struggle to police the problem. Hedda Hewitt reports.
James Gibson was just 3 weeks shy of completing his bricklaying apprenticeship late last year when he quit, joining the ranks of thousands of Australians around the country to complain to authorities about being bullied in the workplace.
I just couldn't take it anymore and I contacted WorkSafe. I had proof of being bullied. I had marks on my shirt from cigarettes being thrown at me. I had bruises on me and my eyes were all red from people throwing mud at my face from up top of a scaffold.
And how often was this happening?
Every day from Monday till Friday.
He was angry, he was depressed, he had no self-esteem. He wasn't left alone, basically. When he first came home and said this was going on and I'm not going back, he wasn't left alone ever. Not until we knew he was okay.
James and his family went to the Victorian watchdog WorkSafe to lodge a complaint with what they thought was clear evidence of cigarettes being hurled at him regularly. At first, they felt encouraged by the response.
Did you show this to the WorkSafe investigators?
Yes, they took photos of it.
But after lengthy meetings, the case was dropped, with WorkSafe inspectors saying the 3 co-workers he'd named at a small bricklaying company in outer Melbourne had denied his claims, and several other witness statements did not support his allegations.
So it was their word against yours?
Yes.
How does that make you feel about the system?
It makes you feel that why couldn't they help you? Why does it have to end with someone killing themselves or be seriously hurt for them to say, oh, OK, I better take a notice then?
It was the shocking story of teenager Nick Clements, aired on this program 2 weeks ago, that prompted James Gibson and his family and scores of others to contact 7:30 with their experiences. Nick was set alight by a colleague while on an apprenticeship work trial in country Victoria.
No one in their right mind lights a person on fire. And then next thing I knew, I was up like anything. And it's unbelievable, yeah.
Whenever I talk about the perils of workplace bullying, the responses from the voters go off the dial. Clearly, there's a lot of people who are being made to feel systematically, persistently, consistently, over long periods of time, to feel demeaned and powerless and embarrassed and humiliated.
Were you relying on WorkSafe to take some action?
Yes. Yeah, you see the advertisements on telly, you know, the WorkSafe inspector arrives on the door and everybody's scared.
Any day now, WorkSafe could show up at your workplace.
There's nothing to be scared of, I don't think, not when it comes to workplace bullying. I mean, I know it's not as clear as not having a barrier on a certain machine, but James had absolutely nothing to gain from the accusations that he made. There was nothing for him to gain. There was a lot for him to lose, and he did lose.
We've got a visitor. Oh, yeah? I think it's WorkSafe. You're joking.
So is the system failing those it's supposed to protect? Since federal and state governments have ramped up advertising campaigns encouraging workers to report bullying, complaints are on the rise. But this hasn't been matched by action.
Well, I think that there is an untapped reservoir of people who don't feel that they've had their case listened to.
Every state has its own authority to deal with workplace bullying. In the most populated states, New South Wales and Victoria, there was a total of more than 12,000 bullying-related inquiries in the last financial year, but few prosecutions. For example, in Victoria, 30 in the past 13 years, and in New South Wales, just 1 back in 2004. Legal experts and the union movement claim workplace inspectors are struggling to cope with the increased demand.
They just don't have the resources or the time to put into every single call, particularly when they're dealing with requirements to do a large number of worksite visits as cold calls, as well as responding to a whole range of other issues that are affecting blood on the floor injuries.
What we need is more inspectors actually ensuring compliance.
They are often under-resourced, under-trained and lack the experience in this particular area to really address it, and it needs to be addressed outside of just a safety issue.
Many Australians assume there are specific national laws to address bullying. That's not the case, and it's part of the problem.
The laws definitely need to be changed, rather than having to limbo dance to try and fit it into either discrimination or industrial or trade practices or safety. There needs to be a single, simple law addressing bullying across the country.
I also think that we do need to see what national laws we can put in place in cooperation with state governments. This should be above politics, the bullying issue, and I have no reason to think that it won't be.
Work has begun on a national code of practice amid a growing push for a national tribunal to hear bullying complaints, along with the introduction of much tougher penalties.
The penalties for employers who willfully ignore their responsibilities towards the physical and psychological well-being of employees is far too low.
If the same business fixed prices or otherwise cheated in Australia, they could face tens of millions of dollars of penalty. If they bully someone to the point of suicide, there's hardly any means of redress.
There are no easy solutions. What's acknowledged by those experienced in the field is that James Gibson and his family are far from alone in feeling they haven't been heard, and that something has to change.
Basically, you go and ask them for help and they go, oh yeah, that's all right, tap you on the shoulder and send you on the way.
There was nobody. There was absolutely nobody that was willing to back James at all, only us.
Heather Hewitt with that report.